Victoria.
You on Instagram?
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone. Oh. How are you? It is Victoria and I. We are back with another video. Victoria, do you want to say hello?
Hello. No makeup this time.
You are beautiful with or without makeup. So we just saw this breaking news that Puff, Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Daddy Love, whatever he's calling himself these days, is what he did.
Why do you call him Daddy Love?
That's what it's something like that. It's brother love, daddy love, brother love, whatever. He his home was raided. So I used to be in the music industry, back in the day, and Puff. Well, that's what we called him, Puff. He was definitely a big figure. CEO and creator of Bad Boy Records. Uh, discovered, I guess, Biggie Smalls.
Oh, didn't he create like remixing old beats?
He was really how he made his name so known was he was remixing a lot of old school beats. He was kind of like the king of remixes. And it was always people used to talk about it back in the day. How he was a little how you doing? And so it was a thing. It was definitely um hey BCB. Hey, he said whoop whoop, that's the sound of the police. Okay. Um exactly. Why are you gay? um have you heard about that?
No.
Okay. Okay, so he was just it says the feds have raided his homes, his LA home, his Miami home, they say. So I'm gonna read with you guys the story, and then Victoria and I will discuss. Let's see. Make sure we're good. Right down here. Okay. So, feds raid Sean Combs' properties in LA, Miami on search warrants out of New York. NBC News. Federal agents raided properties owned by hip hop mogul Sean Combs in Los Angeles and Miami. NBC News reported the agents were authorized to search the properties by warrants issued in Manhattan federal court. 3 women and 1 man have been interviewed in New York by authorities in connection to a probe involving possible sex trafficking, sexual assault, the solicitation and distribution of illegal narcotics, and firearms related to Combs, who is also known as Diddy. The raid comes a month after music producer Rodney Lyrod, huh? Lyrod Jones sued Combs, claiming he was sexually harassed, drugged, and threatened. Federal agents on Monday raided homes owned by hip hop mogul Sean Combs in Los Angeles and Miami. The Department of Homeland Security agents were authorized to search the properties by warrants issued in Manhattan federal court months after a series of lawsuits accused Combs of serious sexual misconduct, law enforcement sources said. A source familiar with this situation told NBC that 3 women and 1 man have been interviewed in New York by federal authorities in connection to a probe involving possible sex trafficking, assault, the solicitation and distribution of illegal narcotics related to 54-year-old Combs, who is also known as Diddy. Interviews.
Too old for all this. I didn't realize he
Well,
Sorry.
okay, let's finish, but hold that thought. Interviews with 3 more women identified as Jane Does are scheduled. This is a quote. Earlier today, Homeland Security Investigations New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners, Homeland Security said in a statement to NBC4 Los Angeles. Benjamin Brofman, a New York attorney who has represented Combs, did not immediately respond to CNBC's request for comment. Combs has denied the civil allegations against him. Douglas Wigdor, a New York lawyer for the singer Cassandra Ventura, who quickly settled a bombshell lawsuit, Cassie. Against Combs last fall, accusing him of the R word, because you can't really say that on YouTube, and sex trafficking her. Said he was also representing a Jane Doe in the federal probe of him. This is a quote, "We will always support law enforcement when it seeks to prosecute those that have violated the law," Wigdor said in a statement. "Hopefully this is the beginning of a process that will hold Mr. Combs responsible for his depraved conduct." That's a strong word, the lawyer said. The raid comes a month after music producer named Rodney Lee Rod Jones filed a lawsuit in Manhattan federal court claiming that Combs sexually harassed, drugged, and threatened him while he was living and traveling with Combs. Tyrone Blackburn, a lawyer for Jones, and 2 women who have sued Combs, in a statement to NBC News said, quote, "We can appreciate today's raids by the federal government. However, today's events are not going to prevent nor delay my client's pending and forthcoming actions for justice and resolution from the Combs RICO enterprise." End quote. Combs was sued in a Manhattan court by Ventura, who is known as Cassie. Cassie's suit said that in 2005, when she was 19 years old, Combs lured her into a professional relationship by signing her to his label Bad Boy Records, and within several years induced her into a sexual relationship and introduced her to a, quote, lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse, and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions, end quote. The suit claimed...
I ain't never heard of her in my life. Like, I never heard of any music or anything she came out with.
Oh. She wasn't a big artist, but she, she had a couple songs. The suit claimed Combs R8. Cassie, I don't mean to laugh. This is not funny. Cassie in her home after she tried to leave him, quote, blew up another man's car after learning of his romantic interest in her and often beat and kicked her. Good gracious. Cassie and Combs agreed to settle her complaint for undisclosed terms just a day after she filed the suit. But after that settlement, 2 other women, Liza Gardner and Joey Dickerson Neal, in lawsuits of their own, accused Combs of sexually assaulting them. A 4th woman, identified in court filings as Jane Doe, sued courts and Combs in December, accusing him of, oh my goodness, y'all can read it, her 2 decades ago when she was 17, with the former president of his record label and another person. Blackburn, the attorney, represents Gardner and Jane Doe. A lawyer for Dickerson Neal declined to comment to NBC News about the raids on Combs's homes. Oh my goodness. Does Versace make prison jumpers? Oh my gosh. This is like really, really crazy. Really, really, really crazy. So what are your first thoughts, Victoria, when you hear this? These women were pretty young. That's why I wanted to, and I'll tell more into why I wanted to talk about this with you, because of my own experience with just in the music industry. What do you think?
Well, I feel like when you have this big dream, especially in the music industry, I want to be a singer, I want to be a dancer, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. None of that stuff is guaranteed. Like if you go to college to become a doctor, you are guaranteed to become a doctor, mm-hmm. right, when you get out of school.
Okay, don't. I'm just gonna back up on the mic. Sorry,
but like Dr. Sorry. But
Chuck, you're gonna get subpoenaed to testify. No, I've only hung around Puff one time.
You were around him?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I
didn't know that. told me that.
Oh, yeah. So I went out to dinner. It wasn't just me though. It was like a group of us. We were out to dinner with him. And then we went to a club, and then that was it.
Yeah, you didn't go to one of his parties.
No, it was up. This was all out in the public. This was in public. I was not. Yeah, I know, Chuck. I know. Say less, Keisha. Hey, listen, I have never. I did not see him do anything crazy. I can't offer anybody anything, so I don't have nothing. I've just heard the stories. No. Mm-mm. No.
Anyway,
Yes.
when you're really desperate to just get where you want to be, and if you see that there's like maybe a quicker route, because he's really big in the music industry. He worked, besides of all the things that he's done, he's really worked hard for where he is now. Like, he's earned his name, in my opinion.
Well, I
don't know. He might have been. Never mind. Like, we don't lie. But when you're just very desperate and you're just trying to make sure that you're just trying to get where you want to be in life, and you see someone that's already there, or they're just on a higher level as you, and so you just feel like, I need to listen to this person. They're gonna help me, and then you just kind of just keep compromising a little bit, and then you just kind of get to being compromised out.
Yeah. So yes. O-Dog, but not for minutes. This is my daughter. Oh, I'm sorry, JC. Yes, this is my daughter, and hello to you too. When you're desperate, you're willing to do some strange things for change. That is true. And so here is my experience. So, one of the reasons that I left the music industry was because of its just always feeling like I had to fight for my virginity. Like it was a very highly sexually driven industry. And I couldn't just go into a studio, do what I had to do, go sing songs or write. There was always, just kind of like, you gotta, over and over and over again, claim that you're not, that kind of girl. You have to over and over again claim that you have to, that you're just here for that. Like you're just constantly fighting off the guys, especially, I didn't, I was in the music industry, without I was in New York by myself, so my parents weren't there. I didn't really have an advocate at first. Then I did end up getting a manager. And then, so that was a little bit better. And then once we, parted ways, it was back to the same old thing. And so one particular instance, which was very, eye-opening for me, is there was this particular producer. I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to work with him. And so I had met just by happenstance, I had met a famous singer's manager, and he was like, I can meet me at the studio, blah, 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 blah. So we had a few conversations. He's like, meet me in the studio. So I show up at the studio and I walk in the door, and, it was, back in the day, it was like, all the big studios where you have the glass. And so I could see, through the glass or whatever. And so he's like, do you know who that is over there? And I'm like, yeah, no, of course I know who that is. Everybody knew who this was at this point in time. He was like, do you want to work with him? I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, and I don't even, have I ever told you the story?
No, you don't told the story from the crowds.
Oh, okay. I thought so. But he was like, yeah, but we have to be effing. And he said, he said the word. And he was like, and I was like, excuse me? And he was like, kind of tried to clear it up. He's like, we have to be in a relationship. And I knew what that meant. So I knew what that meant. And I was like, I don't work like that. I left the studio. I never saw him again. And I couldn't even tell you, I don't even remember his name, and I don't even remember what he looks like. So if you walk by me today, I couldn't even tell you. And so that experience as a young woman is a lot, and when you're in these environments, you hear there are famous singers today that were being talked about when they were coming up, like, oh yeah, she'll do it, like, I mean, they did make it, quote unquote, make it, but at what cost? So you're right, Victoria, these girls are desperate, they really, they want fame, and they will do different things for fame. Some um don't really realize how once they're in this, you compromise a little bit, and then you compromise a little bit more, and then you keep compromising, and you look down the road like probably a Cassie, and then you never in a million years think that you would be in the situation that you're in. Diddy's new record label in prison going to be take that records. Oh my gosh. Let's see. JC says, what a coincidence that P. Diddy is in the news today, because prior to hearing the news, I was watching an episode of South Park that referenced him called Hell on Earth. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was known, like, just like R. Kelly, like, we knew what R. Kelly was doing back in the day. Like, people used to talk about it. People knew about Puff. They used to talk about it. So what?
I feel like with some of the stuff for R. Kelly, I feel like some of those girls, they were like, oh my God, it's R. Kelly. I don't think that all of them he took advantage of. Should he been talking to minors? No. But I do think that some of them was okay with it. I really do. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I don't. Either way, it's wrong. But I do feel like some of those girls were just like, "Oh my God, it's R. Kelly." Like,
yeah, no. I mean, I definitely think that there are girls who, young, especially when you're young, you don't know how this is going to affect you long term. You don't realize the consequences, that it's doing to your life. You're not considering all the things. That's why children, behave as children, and the adults are supposed to guide them down the right path, not lead them further into a path of destruction. Like people like Puff or R. Kelly, allegedly for Puff, they violate their responsibility as parents. They are violating their position as adults.
And he had 2 daughters.
And he has kids. Like,
well, his son, they say he be doing stuff too.
Allegedly.
Factually.
The parents should have been in jail too. The BCV says, what do you think? That should the parents be in jail too?
Oh,
for R. Kelly.
Well, I know, was he the one who was talking to Aaliyah?
Mm-hmm.
For her, yeah, because I've seen on the internet that they knew everything, but I don't know. I feel like to a certain extent, no, because then your kid gonna do what they want to do, and if you don't know what your child is doing, like, you don't really have any say. But for the Aaliyah thing, yes, because I know, well, allegedly, he was, the parents knew everything, so
yeah. Well, with Puff,
make sure you guys leave a like.
Oh yes, thank you, Victoria. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you like, comment, share it out too, and subscribe. Yes, thanks. I always forget to do that. With some people would say, like, with the people that were around, like R. Kelly, not parents, but people that other adults that knew what was going on, do you think they should be in jail?
That's not really how the criminal justice system works, though.
What do you mean? I mean, you can be an
Well,
accomplice
actually,
to a crime.
okay, actually, yeah, I feel like they should, because even if your husband is doing drugs, or if he did a crime, don't you go to jail too? If it's your husband, like if your
he's
husband was
doing
like selling,
drugs?
if he's selling drugs or killing people.
well, it depends.
That's what I heard. I heard that like
Hey,
you'll be taken to jail too. I don't know if you'll be.
It depends on the crime, and it depends on what you know. Like that's why. That's a whole other thing.
I don't think that you should necessarily be taken to jail for knowing,
for not
because
reporting a
at
crime.
the same time, what was he telling them? Oh, if you say something, I'm gonna do this, because he has a lot of power. Like at the end of the day, so it's like he was probably blackmailing them, or just like saying that he's gonna ruin their whole life. So I don't blame them for not saying anything, because of that you don't know what he was telling them.
But what if? What if they saw him doing it? Like, what if it's not hearsay? It's not. You actually see him like,
and he didn't say anything,
and you don't say anything. You see him like beating a young girl down, like what he did with Kat, or what they're alleging that he did, or what she's alleging. From the thing that I read, they said she was pregnant and he was like stomping her so much so that she miscarried the child. Like, this is brutal stuff. Like, if you witness that, I'm sorry.
Well, that's different. If you see it, but then you just mind my business, I feel like you should be in jail or have some type of consequence or something, because you don't do that. You don't just watch somebody. She probably at her lowest, probably don't have no type of security, don't know what she doing. She was just a young girl trying to make it.
You talking about ass TD Jakes, and you crazy. Yeah. So
I actually think that was true.
I mean, I don't know. I have my own. So with the whole TD Jakes thing, do you think it's true?
I don't really know about. I don't know if they say he was playing with kids, but I don't know anything
else. What that TD Jakes was?
I think so. They say he was
allegedly.
playing with. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything about it really. All I know is that he was involved with Diddy, and it wasn't
good. So the other thing, was that Puff was messing around with men. Like, there is a real popular story that used to go around back in the day. Jakes is guilty, then a brother owing back child support. In my opinion. Okay. Well, side note with that. Back in the day, there used to be, there was a story that used to go around that I always forget if it was Christopher Williams or Albie Shore, that someone walked in and saw the singer on their doing inappropriate things.
What was they doing?
So my daughter is almost 18 years old, you guys. So, and we have conversations like, I don't want people saying, look, she's having these conversations with her daughter. Yes, we have.
Okay, first of all, you say that you shouldn't have it with parents and kids. Parents and kids are two different things.
Correct. I'm just saying.
If you do think that, you need to go watch her videos, because you don't even know what she talks about.
Well, I'm just saying, parents and children, yes, having conversations about, things that happen, sexual things. That is your job to teach your children. And my daughter's, she's very mature and much older. She's ready for these kind of conversations. So they walked in and the singer was doing things to Puff. That was a very that was a thing that used to go around in the industry about him, that he would make you do these things in order to like the old saying, the casting couch, that whole thing. There was a lot of rumors that he was part of that type of coercion and just trying to make people do those types of things. So what do you think about that? What do you think about men who want fame so bad that they are willing to do that?
Same thing. I mean, even though it is a little more like, come on now, get it together. Mm-hmm. But I still feel the same thing. You're just vulnerable. You're just trying to do what you got to do to make it. And I mean, if that come with compromising, so be it, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's never that deep. It's never that deep. It's never that deep.
If you what? Go ahead. I feel like I know where you're going, but go ahead.
Like if you are like, if that's your moral values that you feel like you gonna do what you got to do to get what you want, like that Jezebel kind of like driven drive, because that's what she was. Like whatever she wanted, she got it. No matter how she got it, she got it. Mm-hmm. Very grimy, like. So if that's kind of just your spirit, okay, whatever. But if you, not whatever, but if you genuinely, you just wanted to be, you were just this innocent, not as innocent, but like you didn't plan on doing none of that, and you ended up just being in that situation. Like, I truly do feel bad for you.
Yeah. I do feel bad for I feel bad for those people too, because they don't, like I said before, they don't really understand the consequences of that. Like the devil never like keeps his promises, like, oh yeah, if you do this for me, I'm gonna be all great to you. He never, ever, ever, never, ever keeps his promises. So whatever you think you're giving, whatever you think that it is a small compromise, it's going to be the price is too high. Is always too high for because the devil don't quit, does not quit. BCB asks, are you ladies surprised by what you've heard about Diddy? I am not surprised.
No. Only reason I'm not is because I've been hearing that he was gay for a long time. So that's really not too much surprising. I mean, to the extent of some of the stuff he did, yes, you kicking a woman, beating a woman. I didn't know he was doing all that, but the whole
good. The whole
well, I don't even understand. Just all the other things that he did.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I didn't expect that, but at the same time, if you gay, what won't you do?
Be careful. Well, I mean, from a Christian standpoint.
Wait, if you're taking advantage of people with your gayness, what won't you do?
Okay. My friend and co-host is in the chat. Teach him, Chuck. Hi, Chuck. He says, I still feel bad that I exposed your daughter to Black culture. Tell her I'm sorry. She's better for it. It's all good. BCB says, so Cat Williams isn't crazy after all, huh?
I didn't watch his video, so I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the Shannon Sharp, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I haven't followed up enough to know, but they said I saw that video where he ran that like a 4.7 in the 40. So I mean that's pretty good time for a 50-something-year-old man. I know, but those seconds do count. Yeah. So Victoria has an appointment that is coming up. She has her own business here. So
yes, I do hair.
So she has an appointment. So we're gonna wrap it up. But let me know what you guys think if you're watching this after the live. I am really surprised that the FBI, like the Homeland Security, like, wow, like that is a really big deal. I'm really surprised.
They have to have some proof of something.
Well, with federal cases, I mean, it really doesn't take a whole lot. Like somebody can make a claim. If I remember correctly, somebody can, if enough people point the finger at you, basically that is enough for the federal government to come after you. So
but everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah,
everybody is saying the same exact thing. It's not like, and I mean, I guess if somebody's seen Cassie's story and they read it, they could just be like, "Oh, well, she said that he did this, so let me just say the same thing." That's true, but I don't know. They all saying the same thing.
Yeah. And BCB says not just any raid, but a simultaneous raid on both coasts. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why it's federal, because it's multiple homes across the country. Maybe that's a good point. Like maybe that might be more of a reason why it's a Homeland Security federal case. I don't know. Because like once you start crossing state lines and stuff, yeah, I mean, yeah, it becomes federal. So this is, I was in the music industry a long time ago. So from that, the young woman that I was to now, to seeing this all like, come together and see that his homes have been raided for the same stories that we heard back then is just quite, it's quite astonishing. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you want to continue to see videos from me and Victoria, let us know and we'll continue to make them, and give us some topics and stuff to discuss. We will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.